Back at it this morning. It's on the John on ESPN Radio 1570 and online at KVTK.com. Great to have you alongside today. We're presented by Sprint. Sprint Unlimited Freedom Plan. No one beats our price for unlimited data. Make the switch today. My name is John Thayer. It's great to have you alongside. We do the show from the Conkling Distributing Studio. And as we continue today, joined on the show by John Brubaker, who's an award-winning author and has authored a couple of books, including one that is going to be released next week on Tuesday, and it's called Stadium Status, Taking Your Business to the Big Time. And I'm always interested in the work that John Brubaker does for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's a guy who has been in the media. He's a guy who knows sports, and he can tie all of this into you building your business. And so for someone like me who is quite honestly not a big pick up a book and going to read a lot of things, these books are interesting to me because I enjoy sports. I enjoy tying sports into other things, and when you can do that and build a business, I think that's really cool. John Brubaker is my guest on the Culver's Hotline. Coach Bru, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, John. Great to be here with you.
Hey, it's great to talk to you. It's been a while since we've had you on, and the last time we were talking about a book that was a success for you, no pun intended, Seeds of Success was the book, and now you got a new one, Stadium Status, Taking Your Business to the Big Time. I kind of tried to describe a little bit of tying sports and business together, but how would you describe this book?
Well, Stadium Status is a concept that the great American philosophers at Urban Dictionary define as being a big enough star that you could fill an entire stadium, whether it's performing a concert, athletic event, and you're big once you've achieved stadium status. And I don't think everyone listening necessarily wants to fill an arena or stadium full of fans, but they would definitely like to have stadium status-sized customer base. So I think stadium status is something that in some way, shape, or form, everybody wants. We all have a desire to be known and to have our brand known. So what I've done with the book is I've taken some stories and personal interviews, strategies I also use, along with anyone that really calls the stadium their office, so to speak. And I've distilled it down in a way that, whether you sell life insurance, you're an educator, you work in radio advertising maybe, whatever your business, you can apply these strategies. And some of the most unique ones are strategies I learned from country musicians, because I think that particular genre of music, there is a deeper, closer connection between the fan and the artist than any other format. So they get that whole concept of fan engagement, or in your case, right now what you're doing, listener engagement.
So, basically Stadium Status, it essentially means the same thing, but has a different scale for different people, different businesses.
Absolutely. It's a metaphor, really. And I think stadium status has to be a mentality before it's a reality. You got to believe your stadium status before you ever achieve it.
And so if somebody gets this book, Stadium Status, and the subtitle, Taking Your Business to the Big Time, they're going to understand what stadium status means. What else do you get out of it? How do people relate to your book?
Well, can I share a story with you from the book?
Go for it.
I live in Maine, and we're kind of in Red Sox Nation. New England, Boston Red Sox baseball team. And they've done a really interesting thing over the years, and I share this with your audience because it's something anybody can do. And this is kind of this book in a nutshell. It's not your typical business book. I kind of say it's the anti-business book because it's not a bunch of pie-in-the-sky theory. There's no case studies, bar graphs, pie charts. It's meat and potatoes you can sink your teeth into and use. So the Red Sox management team over the years has used this thing they call a listening tour. And what they do in the off season, when really they are, front office is at their busiest in the off season with trades and preparing for the upcoming season, they take a listening tour and they go to every single market in their region, outside of Boston, even where they have minor league affiliates. And they basically hold town hall meetings, invite the public to come, and they just listen to fan feedback, their customer feedback. How can we improve the game day experience in your ballpark or in Fenway Park? What could we do to make it better for you? But here's the thing. They don't just listen and then go home and do nothing. They actually apply some of the feedback they've gotten. They've created a gluten-free menu. They froze ticket prices. They didn't increase ticket prices for a period of time. And they listen to their audience at a time where there's so much focus simply on the bottom line or simply on, we're just so busy, we don't take the time to listen. And I encourage all my clients, I'll encourage all your listeners to take some sort of form of listening tour with their customers, because they'll give you all the answers you need to know to grow your business to the big time. You just got to listen to them.
John Brubaker is my guest. He is an author, award-winning author. He's authored multiple books and has one coming out on Tuesday. It's called Stadium Status. It releases officially on Tuesday, April 4th. You can pre-order for chances to win some different prizes. And for more information, stadiumstatusbook.com. Stadiumstatusbook.com is where you can go for more information. And certainly follow John on Twitter, at Coach Bru. That's Coach BRU on Twitter. And Coach Bru, you talk about, people always talk about hard work and the talent that they have, and all that stuff will take you to probably a successful level, probably to a good level. I would imagine most people who have found a lot of success in their life, though, it starts in your mind. Like, you have to envision this success if you're going to get to stadium status.
Absolutely, and basically there are three stages to stadium status. There are three sections of the book: vision, execution, and connection. And let me tie all that together for your audience in a way that they can go do this today if they choose to. Probably the most stadium status entertainer of our lifetime, or any lifetime, whether you're a country music fan or not, is Garth Brooks. He's outsold the Beatles. He's just epic. And if you went to a Garth Brooks concert, and not like the actual concert, but the morning of the show, and watch them load and set up the stage and lighting and everything, you'd see one guy up in the nosebleeds in the worst seat in the house. He's sitting there sipping a cup of coffee, wearing his sweats and his ball cap, and he's looking down at the stage, and that's Garth Brooks himself. And he's not micromanaging the crew. What he's doing is he is putting himself in the worst customer's shoes and seeing how they, getting their vantage point to see how they see him on stage, or they will see him on stage that night. So that's the vision part. The execution part is he takes it a step further, and he actually makes a connection with that audience member in the back row during the performance. And what happens, too, it's kind of an interesting thing. If anyone's ever seen Garth in concert, no matter where you're sitting, you feel at some point he's looking right at you, singing to you. I saw him in Mellon Arena many years ago in a smaller venue, and I was also in Central Park with a couple other million people when he performed there. The cool thing he did in Mellon Arena was there was a family sitting in that obstructed view section, in the worst seat in the house, and he sent the usher up to get them and told them they're in the wrong seats. So if you're in the worst seat in the house, you're thinking at that moment, how could it possibly get any worse? The usher told him, Mr. Brooks has 4 seats waiting for you in the front row. Please come with me. Takes that family down to the front row. Now, any business owner can do the same thing. Most companies, most people who have any kind of fan base are focused on their raving fans. Well, how about the people in the worst seat in the house? How can you grow their loyalty and cement their loyalty to you and your business? by over-delivering. And I think that we all need to over-deliver one fan member at a time, one audience member at a time, whatever industry we're in. You know, it was interesting. Earlier this football season, somebody was interviewing J.J. Watt, and he does the same thing Garth Brooks does before games. And I understand he was injured this year. He's got a little more free time on his hands. But he sits in the stands when the stadium's empty, and he wants to get the fans' vantage point of his performance on the field. And that's something we all should be mindful of trying to do.
That's definitely interesting. I think that would open some eyes to a lot of people. So you've got all these stories. You've done a lot of things. You've been in the media. You've been a speaker. You've done leadership stuff all over the place. What inspired this book? What inspired Stadium Status, or how did it come to be?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that, John, because oftentimes the student is the teacher. And any parents out there listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We learn more from our children sometimes than they learn from us. My oldest daughter, Meredith, she's now 13 years old, inspired the book because, you know, my wife and I read to our kids every single night. And one night, a couple of years ago, we literally ran out of books on my daughter's bookshelf. She's her father's child, so she loves listening to country music, and she's a sports fan. So we listen to country music on Pandora radio on the iPad while we read. No books to read on the shelf. She starts reading the About the Artist bios on Pandora. And wouldn't you know, all their stories, you know, sounded like the struggle we all have in our business or in our lives, trying to go from humble beginnings to national prominence, overcoming adversity, meeting challenges, and, you know, eventually succeeding simply through sheer will, you know. And she said, "These are fascinating. This should be your next book." And I said, I don't know. But then when I did a little more digging, I realized she's right. There's something, just like that Garth Brooks story I shared, something everyone can learn, you know, from a lot of these Stadium Status performers' journeys, because they really are, at the end of the day, just like us. They might be a step or two further down that road, but they're no different than the rest of us.
That's interesting, and that's what's great about the book, is it ties in a lot of those different stories into it, and that's why people will enjoy reading Stadium Status. All right, so look at with the book, for the people who should read it. Who is this book for?
This book ideally is for the entrepreneur, the small business owner who's already successful, but they've hit a ceiling of success, and they just can't quite break through that. You know, you've been doing business the way you've been doing business, you know, probably the same way for the most part for a while. So it's going to take thinking outside the box and making some creative changes, really to get not just to the next level, but break out beyond that to Stadium Status. That's ideally who it's for. If you've hit a plateau, you're frustrated, you need a little more creative vision, this book will speak to you.
Well, I'm excited to read the book and get to know it a little bit more. I told you before we went on, I've gotten started in it just a little bit, and I'm excited to get through it. I think it's going to be really good, and I've enjoyed the conversation. The website, stadiumstatusbook.com, that's where people can go to learn more information, and they can pre-order. It releases on Tuesday. You can pre-order now and potentially line yourself up for some other gifts, right?
Absolutely. We're actually, kind of taking a page out of Willy Wonka's golden ticket promotion. One lucky person that pre-orders is going to win a 3-day, 2-night stay at a 5-star resort in Destin, Florida, called the Henderson Beach Resort, and that's compliments of yours truly. We also have some other silver and bronze ticket prizes, some dress shirts and T-shirts, but that big golden ticket prize is a good one. It's a 3-day, 2-night stay for 2. That includes a toes in the sand dinner for 2 right on the beach on the Emerald Coast of Florida.
You're speaking to the right audience when you're in South Dakota, when you're talking about a vacation to Florida. You know that, right?
Absolutely. I live in Maine, everybody, and the weather report's telling us on April Fools we're getting a foot of snow, and it's no joke. We're really getting a foot of snow, so I feel your pain, my friends.
All right, so the one thing that you want people to take out of this is they think about this book and go to order this book and then read through it. What's the big thing to take away?
The big thing to take away from it, I'll share something that Clint Hurdle, the manager for the Pittsburgh Pirates, shared with me. I was down there 2 weeks ago. It's my second year working with the team. I go down, I speak to coaches every year at spring training, and his big takeaway was, it's a unique perspective, and we need outside perspectives from outside our industry to really get ahead and move the needle on our business, whether our business is a professional baseball team or Fortune 500 company. And that's the one thing I really respect about Clint and the Pirates is they bring in a lot of outside perspectives, and that's why a small market team has really been able to rise to stadium status, if you will. Is thinking outside the box, because you can't do the same thing the competition's doing and expect to get the same or better result. You just can't. So your best ideas will come from outside your industry, and that's what the book is, and I'll show you how to apply them in your industry.
He's an award-winning author. John Brubaker. His next book releases on Tuesday, April 4th. Stadium Status is what it's called. Get more information at stadiumstatusbook.com. If you pre-order now, you can get chances to win some different prizes, including that vacation package to Florida. So do that. Check out the website, stadiumstatusbook.com. And for more information on Coach Bru, follow him at Coach Bru on Twitter. John, it's been great. I've greatly enjoyed it once again, and always good to talk to you. I hope you have great success with this book, and I've said it a couple of times, but I'm excited to read the book and actually get through it and really understand what this book is about.
John, thank you. I always appreciate coming on your show. You are Stadium Status, my friend.
I appreciate it. All right, thank you very much, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
Thanks.
That's John Brubaker, award-winning author. And this Stadium Status book, I'm telling you, I got it in the mail this week. And when I saw this, saw the title of the book, I knew I wanted to order it. And I ordered it. I got it in the mail, and I've just barely started to get into it because I've had a busy week. And when I've got a busy week, I don't make time for reading books. But it's not a long book. It's not going to be a hard read, and that's I'm really excited to get into this and see what it's about. So check that out. Go to stadiumstatusbook.com for more information and pre-order your copy today. And maybe you'll find you like John Brubaker and the work that he does. And like I said, what I like about it the most is that it ties sports into building a business that I can relate to. Big thanks to John Brubaker joining us here on the Culver's Hotline. Culver's, welcome to Delicious. They're open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily at their location in front of Menards. Time for the opening grain markets. Here's Brian Newman. This is On the John on ESPN Radio 1570 and online at kvtk.com.